What does a 4 times best-selling author have to tell a room full of investors? Quite a lot, it turns out. Welcome to Hong Kong and the Credit Suisse Asian Investment Conference, where we're joined by Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm, thanks very much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
You just held a discussion on the social context of innovation. Give us a little bit of an idea of what you had to tell the audience.
Well, I was interested in this question of what it is that sets entrepreneurs apart. What makes them different from the rest of us? And I think we need to understand that if we are to properly encourage entrepreneurship. And what I argued this morning was that entrepreneurs have a kind of bimodal attitude towards risk, that they tend to be operationally risk averse, that is to say they pursue strategies that minimize their chances of failure, but they are social risk takers. They're willing to sacrifice their reputation in the pursuit of an idea.
And in terms of an investment context, there have been plenty of portfolio managers in the past who've tried to star portfolio managers who've written books and taken a look at the way that they've managed to generate some sort of alpha. You try and, in your books, very often look at the background, where people came from. Give us a bit more of context on that kind of approach to looking at.
Well, what's interesting to me about that kind of bimodal risk profile is that it's the most difficult thing for any human being to do. Particularly to be a social risk taker, that is to pursue a strategy that earns the scorn of your peers, is something that we are hardwired as human beings not to do, right? Everything we do is predicated on winning the approval of our peers. So one way it says, and then to combine that with the kind of intellectual insight necessary to understand, to see an opportunity, a relatively a high beta, as you would say, opportunity. Those two things in combination very rarely happen. And the kind of person who has that strange combination of qualities tends to be, first of all, a very unusual person, but second, to come out of unusual circumstances. I mean, I'm quite taken by how many entrepreneurs come from dysfunctional or even pathological backgrounds, for example. I mean, it's sort of fascinating to see how they've adapted to that kind of imperfect environment.
And perhaps also gain some sort of ability with dealing with difficult situations.
Yeah.
If you take a look at the current environment, turmoil in the Middle East, crisis in Japan, how would an investor or an entrepreneur go about with these, I mean, would you call them outliers?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I knew the answer to that question. If I did, I wouldn't be here, or at least if I did, I would have been in the audience today and not on stage. So I have no clue about what one ought to do. Or I am certain, though, that there are people who have insights that I probably reject, and by definition, then are probably really useful insights. I'm not the kind of person who. When I'm describing this entrepreneurial type, I am not describing myself.
Okay. Well, Malcolm Gladwell, thanks very much for your time and for joining us at the Asian Investment Conference.
Good.
Malcolm Gladwell here in Hong Kong.